Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Monday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and today we have a jam-packed show filled with news from over the weekend. The Steelers could have a new quarterback on their radar as it pertains to the NFL draft. No new Aaron Rodgers news, as a matter of fact. That's pretty strange. Going to do a mock draft Monday, switching things up a little bit this week. We're just going to do one full first round mock where I take over for every single team. Also going to talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates and the absolute disaster that they are on and off the field, including just an absolute weekend from hell for them. Not too much Penguins news, but just a couple of minor notes to talk about there. And yeah, should be a fun episode here tonight. Three of you in here right now. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to comment in the live chat. I love interacting with you fine folks, and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live or upload a new video. With that, speaking of uploaded videos, thank you all so much for blowing up my POV video I did going to the Pat McAfee Big Night from last Wednesday. That video is doing great numbers right now and just got so many views on that. Some new subscribers as well and a good bit of likes. So I appreciate that very much. Going to get started here in a few moments. We're going to start with the big one, the big talking point now. We are 10 days out from the NFL draft, and really the Pittsburgh Steelers pick is up in the air right now in terms of, are they going to take a quarterback or are they going to go defensive line? It's really those two options right now. You can maybe talk yourself into a running back possibly being the Steelers' first round pick, but like I said, we're T-minus 10 days from the 2025 NFL draft, and the rumors and speculations are circulating. This is known, well, really this week, the past couple of weeks, and the week coming up, we are in the lying period. If you are a team, you want insiders to put out the absolute, worst pet peeves about a player that you want. Oh, this guy, he doesn't have the right length. This guy, his motor's in question. You want these national shows to talk about a player that you really like in a negative fashion so that other teams may get thrown off of that player's scent and lose feeling for them. But regardless, let's get back to the quarterbacks here. Last week, Cleveland Browns, they signed Joe Flacco to a one-year contract. He's going to be in a quarterback competition now with Kenny Pickett. Crazy that sentence is a reality in the year 2025. But that right now is being treated as the final nail in the coffin for the chances of Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders going number 2 or 3 overall to the Browns or the New York Giants. Now, there are seemingly only two teams left in the running for Sanders, those two teams being the New Orleans Saints with their number 9 overall pick and your Pittsburgh Steelers at pick number 21. Well, right at the ending of my stream on Friday, we had some breaking news that Saints QB Derek Carr is dealing with a new shoulder injury that, should it require surgery, will have him missing the entire 2025-2026 season. So with that, the odds on pretty much all the sports books that you see out there of Sanders being a New Orleans Saint shot right up through the sky. However, we have to ask the question, what if Shedeur is passed up by the Saints? Because according to ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano, if Sanders falls past number 9, the Steelers could potentially move up to take him earlier than the 21st overall pick. His exact quote here was, "Fact of the matter is, if the Saints like Shedeur Sanders enough to take him at 9, they might have been thinking that way anyway, with Carr only under contract for one more year. But it does lead an air of intrigue to these 10 days ahead of time. If Shedeur Sanders does not go at 9, if he's still available at 10 or in the teens, watch out for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21 to potentially move up. Listening to that, I do think that the Steelers have legit interest in Sanders. They brought him in for a top 30 visit for a reason. Same thing with Tyler Shuck and Jackson Dart, who are also thought to be going high in this draft, maybe not necessarily in the first round, but this is all especially with as well Aaron Rodgers for some strange reason not making a decision yet. We're past the one deadline of him possibly coming out on Pat's show in Pittsburgh last week. That didn't happen. So now we're all left puzzled. Like, why isn't this done yet? And the next big deadline for Aaron Rodgers to make a decision is in 10 days for the draft. So the interest for the Steelers for Sanders there is quite real. However, if Sanders is going to be in the black and gold next year, in my opinion, it's going to be because he fell to the Steelers and not the Steelers climbing up to get him. I can see where Graziano is coming from there, thinking, quarterback, no matter how good they actually are compared to, some great players in this class, their stock is always going to be valued more. So I can see where he's coming from, the Steelers taking a big swing, trading up to make sure he is locked in. But they currently are without a second round pick. As you remember, that got traded away to the Seattle Seahawks in the DK Metcalf deal. And they need all the picks that they can get to fill a lot of holes in their roster right now. They need at least one, probably two defensive linemen. You can always use another wide receiver. You need a running back, a third running back in the room with Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. You could use a swing tackle or just another offensive lineman in general because your depth is pretty thin there. Maybe you look at a corner. You got Joey Porter Jr. and Darius Slay, but how good those two actually will be is very, very much a question. And maybe you add another defensive back like a safety because you got Deshaun Elliott and Minkah Fitzpatrick, who you don't know if they're going to be the same that they were for Elliott's case last year and for Minkah's case a few years ago. So they got a lot of holes to fill in their roster. If anything, they're trading back in the first round more than they're trading up. So I do not believe Graziano's speculation and idea there is going to work out. If it does, there's only two long shot ways that the Steelers do trade up in this first round, and that is either the Steelers and Omar Khan. They either see the compensatory picks that are coming their way from free agency this season. Could up to at most get 4 third-round picks looking at all the guys that you let walk. So maybe they see, hey, we're getting a bunch of compensatory picks coming our way. Let's move on from some of our own picks to move up this year. Or unless they really, really lose their minds and say, we really like Shadur. We need this quarterback because Rodgers isn't coming, or we want to get a young guy behind Rodgers. So this guy might as well be gone in 1 year. Let's trade away George Pickens. And TJ Watt seems to be a little upset with how contract negotiations are going. Let's send him out and move up high in the draft. So, just those are the only two scenarios, and both are highly unlikely that I see the Steelers moving up in this year's draft. And beyond that, it's going to be most likely the Steelers either sticking and picking at 21 or trading back. I'm interested in hearing what all you have to think about this. Draft night can't come soon enough because I'm honestly getting pretty tired of just speculating and, trying to weed through all of the BS, trying to see which teams have legitimate interest in who, which teams don't. Just 10 days can't, fly by fast enough here. Draft night's almost here. We're almost done. I'm ready for it, working on my draft board. Going to talk about some prospects on my draft board here in a minute that we're visiting with the Steelers today. So, just want to hear what you guys think about Sanders possibly being an option for the Steelers, and if you think he will indeed fall past the Saints at number 9. Right now, if I had to guess, he's most likely going to be a Saint, if not even well before he has a chance to become a Steeler. I don't think that the Giants are entirely sold on not picking him at number 3, and maybe even the Browns or Giants could trade back into the first round ahead of the Steelers and select him in the teens. Let's just stick with the draft. I was going to do this after the mock draft, but we're going to do this now. Steelers pre-draft visits are wrapping up. I believe they are now up to 28 or 29 of their top 30 visits in the books. 3 more prospects visited the facility today. That is Syracuse quarterback Kyle McCord, Texas running back Jaden Blue, and Minnesota defensive back Justin Wally. So I do have my big board of prospects here. I'll at least talk about McCord and Jaden Blue a little bit. Haven't done a deep dive into the corners in this year's draft yet, but Kyle McCord, 22 years old, from New Jersey, 6'3", so size is pretty adequate. 31-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands. Went to Ohio State and then transferred to Syracuse last year. I think, honestly, he got a bad rap at Ohio State, probably, just the high pressure and high expectations of the Ohio State Buckeyes forced him out of there. Really, the fan base and university turned on him, but nonetheless, rebounded well, went to Syracuse last year, and in 13 games had 4,779 passing yards and 34 passing touchdowns, a 66% completion percentage. Ladies and gentlemen, those 4,779 passing yards, that is a single season passing record for the ACC conference. So definitely not a slouch to, pass by McCord as some, middling prospect. He's pretty much an old school quarterback. He'll stand in the pocket. He'll make throws, not too mobile, but, he'll take a hit to make a throw, and he will hit the middle of the field as well. Was back when he was with Ohio State, a 2023 third team All Big Ten member, made the second team All ACC in 2024, and was the Holiday Bowl offensive MVP. So Kyle McCord, probably going to be a 5th, 6th round look for the Steelers if they don't take a quarterback earlier in this draft. I'm convinced that they will take a quarterback at some point in this draft because, you're going to most likely get Aaron Rodgers, even though he drags this thing out, but you would like to have a rookie of some sort behind him, maybe learning a thing or two. As for Jaden Blue, trying to find him here. Okay, so McCord was the number 9 quarterback on my board. Probably could move him up a little bit, really. The quarterback class this year, once you get past the first 4 or 5 QBs, you can sort of, arrange them however you want. But Jaden Blue, running back class, middle of the road running back, number 16 out of 26 running backs I have on my board. 21 years old, 5'9", 200 pounds. So one of the shorter backs, but still, I think that's what the Steelers are looking for. They want a big playmaker with speed, and speed is something that he has a little bit of. A 4.38 40, 1.52 10-yard split. Didn't do anything else at the combine, but with Texas, who they made a run to the semifinals of the college football playoff. 134 carries, 730 rush yards, and 8 rushing touchdowns. Also caught the ball well out of the backfield for 6 receiving touchdowns. Dude is very fast, and only thing he needs to work on is ball security in my book. But the Steelers, they have pretty good coaching staffs to work on that sort of thing. I mean, many people still like to, go with the assumption that Jaylen Warren is a big fumbler, even though he's not. That's just something that, gets hyped up by us, the fans. But Jaden Blue, if he were to be a Steeler, I'd be okay with it. Also, I think I saw this. I didn't see it exactly from one of the Steelers beat reporters. I just saw it lingering out on X. Apparently, the Steelers also have scheduled a top 30 visit with Toledo defensive lineman Darius Alexander. Not going to get into him too much until he actually has his meeting, whatever day that winds up being. But Alexander easily, well, not easily, but really you have top 4 defensive tackles in this draft class: Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant from Michigan, Derek Harmon from Oregon, and Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. I mean, Alexander, he's up there as well, easily in my top 10, probably anywhere from my 5th to 7th top defensive lineman in this draft. So, fringe first round pick Alexander is, though he'll probably be like an early day 2 guy if I had to guess. Maybe if the Steelers were to take him, it would be in a scenario where they trade out of day 1 altogether and pick in the first 4 or 5 picks on day 2, but that I do not see happening. All right, so I think we reached the part of the show here. I'm going to fire up the old PFF mock draft simulator. Only got 2 more Mondays until the draft. This is actually going to be my final mock before the draft, and next Monday we are going to build our top 21 draft boards. For those of you who may not know what that is, the Steelers picking 21st overall, we're going to select our top 21 prospects for the Steelers to take in the first round, and at least that way we are pretty much guaranteed to have at least one of those players available for when the Steelers pick. So let me share my screen here. Go to the PFF mock draft simulator and wait for that to pop up here. And there it is. So, yeah, like I just said, going to go 1 through 32 here. Go through all of the picks for the teams in the first round. Again, it's still crazy. This is, I think I heard, the farthest into the offseason before the draft that all 32 teams still have their original first round pick. Not going to do any trades here. Not really going to, make this longer than it needs to be. Some guys may be up higher than you expect or lower than you expect, but that's just me going by what player I think fits well for each team. So let's get this started. Not going to waste too much time on the first overall pick here. Let's not act like the Tennessee Titans have any interest in any other player other than Miami quarterback Cam Ward. They canceled their private workout with Shedeur Sanders. So Cam Ward, pretty much a lock to be the first overall pick this year. And really the draft begins here at pick number 2. This is the first question of the draft here. Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, both phenomenal players available for the Browns at pick number 2. Hunter, of course, he's getting most of the fanfare right now, though Abdul Carter, the thought of him pairing up with Myles Garrett on that Cleveland defensive line worries me quite a bit as a Steelers fan. But right now, I think we're going to stick with what the majority of the media thinks here and go with Travis Hunter at number 2. This will also leave the door open for the Browns, in reality, to trade back into like the teens somewhere and take Shedeur Sanders and reunite him with Hunter, should that be the case. Really, Giants sitting here, unless they lose their mind and take Shedeur Sanders at number 3, which I don't think they will, having Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in their quarterback room right now. They're pretty much left to get whoever the Browns don't take here, in which case here is Abdul Carter. As a matter of fact, I think I just saw something before I went live that Kayvon Thibodeau could be a draft night trade candidate. So they're, I believe, number 5th overall pick from a handful of years ago could be on the move for a new edge rusher in New Jersey. Pick number 4 here, Patriots fans, they are punching holes through walls, seeing that Hunter and Carter both went off the board before their pick at number 4. But in this case, Drake May, their franchise quarterback up there in New England, you need someone to protect him, and who better to protect him than the best offensive tackle in this class in Will Campbell. Think he just screams, Patriot too. So he goes from Baton Rouge to Foxborough. Pick number 5. This one, I'm going to go with the trend here and say that Mason Graham is going to be the Jaguars pick, almost kind of like how Cam Ward is a lock for the number 1 overall pick. Mason Graham, in almost every single mock that I've seen in the past couple of weeks and past month, has had Graham going here to the Jaguars at number 5. So not going to break that trend here. Number 6 to the Raiders. This is where the fall of Ashton Jeanty stops. Goes out there to Las Vegas with Geno Smith and company. Pete Carroll gets another dominant running back, kind of like what he had up in Seattle for years. Of course, going from, beast mode all the way to Kenneth Walker and even before that. So Ashton Jeanty, number 6 to the Raiders. Number 7, here's where I'm going to pick the first surprise of the evening on draft night. The Jets, they could use a lot of things. They could use some help on the defensive line. They could use always offensive linemen until they finally get it right, because look at how that worked out with Aaron Rodgers at the helm there. And they could use drafting a wide receiver to pair up with Garrett Wilson after Devontae Adams left. Now, too early here for a wide receiver, in my opinion, even though Ted McMillan from Arizona is there. But we are going to grab a receiver, just not a wide receiver. You take away this guy's position because he's just an all-around playmaker. I'm going to go Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. Dude is an absolute monster, best tight end in this draft, and one of the best tight ends to come out of the draft, really since Kyle Pitts all those years ago. But Warren going to go catch balls from Justin Fields at number 7. They could always go back into the late first round and maybe snag Emeka Egbuka, really give a Ohio State Buckeye feel to the Jets with Fields at quarterback and then Egbuka and Wilson at wide receiver. Number 8 here, Carolina Panthers. 2 biggest needs here, according to PFF, are edge and defensive back. They could go wide receiver, give Bryce Young, their young quarterback, maybe a little bit more help on offense, but their defense was just atrocious last year. All day I've been contemplating this pick. I either think they can go an edge rusher, maybe a Michael Williams from Georgia, or maybe a Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. But in this case, they just paid J.C. Horn, their top corner, big money. They could use another corner to put on the other side of the field of J.C. Horn and really try to get a no-fly zone going down there in Carolina. So with that, they're going to take an absolute freak corner in Will Johnson. Number 9 here to the Saints. Talked about this earlier. Not going to waste a pick here. I think Shedeur Sanders, if he reaches that point, the Saints are going to pick him up. Even if Derek Carr is healthy, he's only got 1 year left on his deal. And Shedeur playing down in the dome as an accurate passer, that's going to work well for him. And I think Kellen Moore can get a good bit out of Shedeur Sanders, their new head coach down there, who was the offensive coordinator of the Eagles. So Shadur Sanders, number 9 to the Saints. Number 10, Chicago Bears up here. This is an interesting pick for them. If Ashton Genty falls this far, I think they sprint to the podium to make that pick. But they need help on the defensive line, and I think they could use some help on the edge. So with the pick here, I'm going to go with this mainly because, this is a tiebreaker between these two. I'm not sure if they met with Michael Williams, but I just saw on NFL Network to my right on my TV here just a little bit ago that they had Shamar Stewart in for a visit today, and Stewart didn't have the production that you would like at Texas A&M, but with, hopefully the right coaching, he can translate all of his physical gifts into production. So Shamar Stewart will be the first edge rusher off the board. Number 11 here, San Francisco 49ers going to make this pick quick. I think this is a slam dunk for them. Trent Williams isn't getting any younger. You also lost an offensive lineman in Tyler Banks, and really your offensive line is taking a hit overall. Really, what part of the 49ers hasn't taken a hit this offseason? But with that, you get at least a right tackle for the future or an heir to the throne to Trent Williams and Armand Membo from Missouri. Number 12 here to the Dallas Cowboys. Not going to overthink this one either. This is going to be Matthew Golden. Texas Longhorn will stay in Texas, and he will get to link up with CeeDee Lamb down there. I think Jerry Jones loves that flashy pick, and that is about as flashy, aside from maybe taking Omarion Hampton, the running back, that you can get right there. So Matthew Golden is a Dallas Cowboy, and actually we're going to go back-to-back Texas Longhorns off the board here. Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle, he's going to go fill in the big shoes of Teron Armstead, who just retired a few days ago. Here's an interesting twist potentially in this draft. You have the Indianapolis Colts up here. If Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State, is available here, that has been one of the most favorable matches in this draft class. So if Tyler Warren was here, he'd easily be a Colt. But they do need some help on that offensive line. And in this case, I think not necessarily at tackle quite yet, but get some beef in the trenches to help protect your young quarterback in Anthony Richardson and see what you have in him. With that, I'm going to go Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama. Number 15 here, the Atlanta Falcons. They need an edge rusher, which really in the past 2-3 years of the draft, they have needed to take defensive linemen early, but they haven't done it necessarily. Like last year, we thought that they were going to be a lock for, who was it? Got drafted by the Vikings, dude from Alabama, I think. I forget his name. Anyways, they were picking, 7th last year, and everybody thought they were locked to take a defensive player with that pick, and they took Michael Penix. So I'm not going to break that trend here. You got Drake London down there, and behind him you have really nothing. Maybe you're hoping for another solid year of Darnell Mooney or Ray McLeod, but you need a solid number 2 option to pair with Drake London. In that case, you're going to get another big body guy in Tet McMillan. Number 16 here. Been debating whether to go D-line or corner here for the Arizona Cardinals, but I think their front 7 situation is just a tad bit better than their defensive backs. You still got Budda Baker back there, but besides corner, I don't know anybody else besides Byron Murphy for them. So with that, top corner number 2, Jahdae Barron, he's going to have to travel real far going from Texas to Arizona. Up here at 17, you have the Cincinnati Bengals. They could go offensive line here to protect Joe Burrow, or they can go defensive line to really put some much needed resources into the defense. You can score 800 points, but when you're getting 900 points scored against you, that's the reason why they missed playoffs last year. So at this point, been debating this, but I think I am going to go with this pick right here. I think they're going to go with a splash and take actually I am going to switch it up. I'm going to get him another edge. I'm going to give him an edge. Mike Green from Marshall is going to be the pick. I almost went Walter Nolan from Mississippi there, but you got BJ Hill. You also got, a young Chris Jenkins there, and I think someone else who is slipping my mind right now, but you got Trey Hendrickson on one side. You put an explosive Mike Green on the other to really push, I believe it was Miles Murphy, their pick out of Clemson, who's been underperforming. So Mike Green to the Bengals at number 17. The Seahawks up here at pick 18. They could also go defense and go edge here, though I think they want to give Sam Darnold another weapon after getting rid of both Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So to go with Jackson Smith and Jigba, another Ohio State wide receiver in Emeka Egbuka at number 18. Number 19, not going to think this one, not going to overthink this one too much. I think this is another one of those match made in heaven type picks here. Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. Levante David down there in Tampa isn't getting any younger. And if you can put Campbell with him for a year, show him the ropes, that would be a score there for the Buccaneers. And at number 20 here, don't think I'm going to spend too much time on this one either. Javonte Williams is on his way out the door, and you need a playmaker, change of pace guy for Bo Nix. Omarion Hampton is going to be the running back down in Denver. Now, at this point of the draft, Steelers still have 3 defensive linemen still on the board, more specifically defensive tackles. You got Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, Kenneth Grant from Michigan, and down here, Derek Harmon from Oregon. I'd be okay with any of the 3. I don't care who it is. All 3 are going to be good picks and are going to be good in the NFL, in my opinion. However, I think Nolan, in my opinion, maybe gone before this. And also this guy is just feels too much like a Cam Hayward 2.0 to pass him up. So I think it's going to be Derek Harmon. Even if they trade down, I think it's going to be Harmon for the Steelers. And I just like the pick. You tie him to Cam Hayward's hip all off season and through the season, and let that kid hopefully be the apprentice and the replacement for Cam when he retires. Pick 22 here. San Diego. Oh, wow. Almost said San Diego Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers. So with this, you got 2 Michigan guys there. Really, it's easy to tie a Michigan guy to Harbaugh down there in LA. With this one, though, need a tight end bad, and I think that Colston Loveland is going to be the guy there. Green Bay up here at pick 23. They could use a wide receiver. They can also use a corner and an edge rusher. With that, I think Kenny Clark maybe getting up there, but Walter Nolan is here. Or better yet, I think it's going to be Kenneth Grant. Honestly, Grant could be a defensive tackle or a defensive end. So him going to the Packers there at 23 makes more sense. Here at pick 24 for the Vikings, they need a running back. Says they still need an interior defensive lineman, though they just signed Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. and a defensive back. I think this one here is going to be a pretty easy pick for me. Malachi Starks from Georgia is there. You put him behind Harrison Smith, who is reaching the end of his road there, and see what happens after that. Houston Texans here at 25. Josh Simmons, tackle, Ohio State, a Buckeye, protecting a former Buckeye and CJ Stroud. Number 26 here, LA Rams. I'm eating what Mel Kiper's cooking in his latest mock draft. I think this is where the fall of Jackson Dart ends. Going to go sit behind Matthew Stafford, who could be gone after this year. With the Ravens pick at 27, I still got a couple of edge rushers left here, but this one seems like too good of a fit for them. I think they're going to go safety here. Nick Amenwari from South Carolina. Put him with Kyle Hamilton and just have two avatar freak athletes at safety. Back up here at 28, Detroit Lions. They need a wide receiver. I don't think they're going to take wide receiver, but they could use defensive line help, edge rusher to help the returning. What's his name? Aiden Hutchinson. So I, going back now, think that Michael Williams could have gone to the Bengals at 17, but let's just pretend he went to 17 here and that Mike Green went to the Lions here at 28. So we're going to have Michael Williams go here, number 28, to the Lions. 29 here, Washington Commanders. They could use an edge rusher as well, maybe a defensive back and a running back. But I think here they could use a replacement for the aging Bobby Wagner, and Jalen Walker is going to be their pick at number 29. Number 30 here, Buffalo Bills need help on defense. Here, I think, is where you see a corner go off, in my opinion. Let me just scroll here, see who's all left. Yeah, I do think here is indeed where you see a corner. So, going to go with Trey Amos here from Ole Miss. Steelers just had him in recently for a visit, but Trey Amos is going to go try to be a solution up there. You know, Bills defensive backs have been underwhelming for the most part over the past couple of seasons. Chiefs here at 31, they just need offensive line help in general after getting obliterated in the Super Bowl. And who better than to pick a good but versatile guy here in Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. And then here at pick number 32, I think the Eagles, doesn't ever hurt for them to take a defensive lineman, and you just lost Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, so Walter Nolan's going to be their pick there at pick 32. So looking through here, I'm okay with this mock draft. Obviously not going to be perfect. I'd be probably lucky to get 5 or 6 of these picks correct when it's all said and done. But I think that goes for just about all mock drafts here. This is just us trying to buy time and think how these team thinks until the real thing here in 10 days. But yeah, like it a lot. Going to post this to Twitter here afterwards, and I'll have this handy, see how many I got right on draft night. Okay, we are back here. Let me stop the screen share there. And let's take a quick scroll through Twitter just to see if we have any new news. Not seeing much here. Got some movement in the Pens minor league system. Talk about that here in a minute. Okay. All right, so let's move on here. Let's talk about the Pirates. As much as I don't want to, we're going to do it. I mean, wow, what a disastrous weekend on all front for our Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's try our best to run through these as quickly as possible so that we don't get too much more emotionally attached and furious than we already are. So let's just 40-yard sprint through this thing. Let's start on the field. First off, Bucks got swept by their rival Cincinnati Reds in this past weekend series. All weekend long, they couldn't hit. For most of the weekend, they couldn't pitch. And if you watch these games, once they went down by 2 runs, you felt it was over, and you might as well go do make better use of your day. Additionally to the poor performance on the field, catcher Joey Bart in game 1 of the series got injured. Said his manager Derek Shelton said his back locked up on a swing in the cold. So haven't seen him since. Henry Davis got called up, and just like most Pirates batters in this series, went 0-4 in all of his plate appearances. I mean, it legitimately couldn't have been a worse series from start to finish, and that's par for the course for this entire team. I have right here, ladies and gentlemen, on MLB.com where the Pittsburgh Pirates offense stands in the MLB right now. You ready? Let's start here with the simple one, batting average. Dead last. 30th out of 30. The Pittsburgh Pirates with a 184 batting average. Fantastic. Let's go to the second best one. Where's OPS? There's OPS. OPS? Dead last. 563 OPS. On base percentage is at least a little bit better at 27th because of walks. Slugging percentage. Let's go down to slugging percentage here. Oh, wait, don't see them quite yet. And hang on, where are they? Slugging percentage, 27th. 290 slugging percentage. That's great. Let's go here to home runs. Of course, we got to win in the margins, as Derek Shelton likes to say. Not built for power, but man, we are going to get on base. We're going to steal those bases, and we're going to drive in runs. Well, you at least got one part of that right. You're not going to hit home runs. 10 home runs on the season, 26th in the MLB. Just go here to RBIs. RBIs here, 27th. Once again with 49. Runs scored, 27th. Tied for 27th with the ever so bad Chicago White Sox. And most of all, strikeouts. The Pirates are third in the league with strikeouts at 151. Third most strikeouts in the MLB. If you want any sort of silver lining to that, you're tied for third most strikeouts in the league with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But I'm sure the Dodgers are actually getting more plate appearances than the Pirates, because gasp, what a thought, they actually score more runs than the Pirates do. So things just going completely terribly. The offense is like Matt Canada is now the hitting coach for the Bucks, and you have all that happening. On top of those statistics, they are being led by a former major league hitting coach in Derek Shelton, who as a manager has the 5th, that means 4 worse than him, the 5th worst winning percentage in MLB history among managers with at least 700 games managed. How this guy still has a job beats the hell out of me. Should have been gone last season, but now you are seeing that things are never getting better with him. As a matter of fact, they're just going to keep on getting worse, which who could have thought it could possibly get worse here, year 6 into this rebuild. So Pirates just keep on going down and down with him at the helm. And I would say that things are going to change, but things aren't going to change. I mean, do I have to? I mean, you won't believe this once I read it to you. Ben Cherington was on 93.7 The Fan this weekend, and 2 quotes here that are the ultimate definition of gaslighting. Cherington talking about the organizational talent, first and foremost. This is the deepest group of players at the upper levels that we have had. Pirates, like I just said, hitting 184. And another one here that I can't find right now is on Tommy Pham, who really, really playing well. Spot on there, Tommy Pham. What an addition he's been. Cherington said that his veteran presence and leadership in the locker room is, quote, exactly what they hoped for. Let me pull up this here. Tommy Pham. Tommy. Batting 128 batting average. Fantastic. Right there. So Ben Cherington just either completely delusional or just intentionally gaslighting the fans right now, and I'm sick of it. Bucks are going to be on here maybe here in 15 minutes. It's supposed to be a 6:40 start time, but as I look out my window here, storms are rolling through western Pennsylvania, so who knows if that's going to start on time. Happy Paul Skeens Day, by the way. But I mean, year 6, and we're talking about Pham with a 128 batting average being good for the team, and the team being hitting 184 as a collective, being talented and deep. And 14 of the current 14 active players, position players on the Bucks, 9 of them are hitting below 200. So when the whole team's batting below the Mendoza line, you know things are going well. And I mean, even Ken Rosenthal, MLB writer and insider, he didn't hold back, just saying that, you know, Derek Shelton, he's among the top candidates on the hot seat managerial wise, but things aren't going to change. Even if you do fire Shelton, the head of the snake still remains with Nutting and Cherington. So just absolutely ripped Shelton and Cherington and Nutting up one side and down the other. Go read his piece if you haven't already. And yeah, I mean, just going back to the series, if you want a nutshell example of how it went, the Pirates were retired in order, their last 23 hitters of yesterday's game. Just absolutely terrible. And Dan Zangrilli, 93.7 The Fan, covers the Pirates, said that it is a very tense place right now and that the owner is ticked off, saying that Nutting is ticked off. And Nutting's not just ticked off about the play on the field and how his team's performing. He's also ticked off about the Bucko Bricks situation. I think I said this on Friday, but the Bucko Bricks are officially gone. They've all been grounded up. They're now just a pile of common pebbles at this point. But Nutting said, quote, "I am embarrassed. I have directed the team to accelerate their review and to move quickly on steps needed to fix this." So Nutting is embarrassed about how the Bucko Bricks situation went. Let's be honest here. He's not embarrassed that they got taken out. He's embarrassed that news of it got out to the public and that people noticed. So hell out of here with that. He doesn't care. He's going to talk out his mouth when he really is talking out his ass. So at least we got Connor Griffin, right? Connor Griffin's at least lighting it up down there in single A ball for the Bradenton Marauders. And let's just go here quickly, talk about tonight's game a little bit. Starting lineup for the Bucks, Paul Skeens on the bump again. Like I just said, going against his former LSU national champion teammate and number 2 overall pick, Dylan Cruz. Speaking of Cruz, O'Neal Cruz leading off tonight in center field. So he, I believe he played yesterday, but he'll be back in the lineup today as well. Looks like the hand is good to go. So Cruz in center leading off. Actually like that he's leading off and you're not throwing Adam Frazier or Emmanuel Valdez, one of these guys who, if they get on base, they're not going to be a threat to hit with power and a threat to steal the bag. So Cruz batting leadoff. Reynolds still DHing, batting second. Kutch in right field again tonight, batting third. I just said it, year 6 of the rebuild, and somehow Emmanuel Valdez, who, what the hell does Emmanuel Valdez do? He is batting cleanup and playing first base. Thank God Spencer Horwitz is back to hitting the ball. Was taking batting practice today, and that Jared Triolo, who has been out since April 7th, he's going down to AAA for a rehab assignment. So hopefully one of those guys will be back in action for the Bucks sooner rather than later. It pains me that we're at such a low point where I'm thanking the Lord that Jared Triolo is about to be the Bucks first baseman again, and Emmanuel Valdez can get exiled down to AAA. Anyways, back to the lineup. Ke'Bryan Hayes batting 5th, playing third base. Endy Rodriguez catching again tonight. Tommy Pham, Adam Frazier, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa round out the lineup. Left field, second baseman, and shortstop there. Again, Skeens is on the mound here tonight. Rest of the series outlook. This is a 4-game series against the Nats at home. Mitch Keller gets the ball tomorrow. Bailey Falter on Wednesday, and Andrew Heaney on Thursday against former Bucco Trevor Williams. So interesting Thursday matchup here. Hopefully the Bucks don't ruin it for me by then. But 1 through 4, Bucks given their top 4 pitchers to the Nationals. And I mean, early series prediction here. Bucks take 3 or split, but wouldn't surprise me either if they only win 1. I think they get 1 in one of these first 2 games with Skeens or Keller, and then they lose the rest because that's just how things are going. Absolute low time vibes here amongst this organization. Sit on some quick Penguins news real quick. As I scroll through what I have starred here, I'm not seeing much. Penguins lost yesterday 4-1 to the Boston Bruins. They honored former general manager Ray Shero before the game, who passed away last week. Touching tribute video given to him. Other than that, really had a not good game. I think I don't have Sullivan's exact quote here, but basically said that the team didn't show up yesterday and that the only person who showed up was Tristan Jarry, just completely throwing the team under the bus with 1 game to go. Not saying that he's wrong. Definitely right. Team needed to show much more effort. But looking at some other things here, Rickard Rakell scored a 35th goal of the season. That's a career high for him. Then I believe in their game from Friday, Brian Russ scored his 29th goal of the season. So career highs for Rust and Rakell this season in a year where the Pens don't make the playoffs once again. Mil Bemstrom, 3rd, 4th line forward, got sent back down to Wilkes-Barre. No shock there. That's actually his 9th transaction between the AHL and NHL this season. He got sent back down with Philip Tomasino drawing back into the lineup. this just a couple of hours ago. A handful of roster moves the Pens made today, including defenseman Philip Krull going back up, getting called up to Pittsburgh, and then pair of goaltenders Taylor Gauthier and Sergei Murashov got sent down from AHL to the ECHL. So Pens minor league teams are at least getting ready for their playoff matchups. Be keeping track of that once the season ends here on Thursday. And how about that? We do have some breaking news here, actually. I got off of some Penguins news there for a second, but got some breaking news, not necessarily related to the Steelers, but intriguing enough. So the more draft attendees have been announced. Tom Pelissero, 2 minutes ago, 17 prospects will be attending the draft in Green Bay in person. They'll be in the green room up there. Those will be, just going through the list here, on-site prospects. Guard Tyler Booker from Alabama. Linebacker Jihad Campbell from Alabama. Tackle from LSU, Will Campbell. Edge rusher from Penn State, Abdul Carter. Quarterback from Mississippi, Jackson Dart. Wide receiver from Texas, Matthew Golden. Defensive tackle from Michigan, Mason Graham. Corner and wide receiver from Colorado, Travis Hunter. Running back, Ashton Genty. Corner, Will Johnson. Wide receiver, Tet McMillan. Quarterback, Jalen Milroe. Offensive lineman, Josh Simmons. Safety, Malachi Starks. Outside or edge rusher, Shamar Stewart. Quarterback, Cam Ward. And edge rusher, Micah Williams. So no Shadur Sanders, but Jackson Dart is going to Green Bay. Shadur Sanders either did not get invited, which it would be crazy if he didn't, but most likely turned down his opportunity to sit in the green room up there in Green Bay. Also, Mason Graham, the only defensive tackle going, though he's guaranteed to be a top 10 pick in my book. So that is the green room for the NFL draft. Okay, now I'm seeing more and more. So it does appear that Darius Alexander meeting scheduled with the Steelers is real. All right, let's wrap things up here. Let me just real quick hit on some random news stories from the day. I think we got through everything with the Bucks, Steelers, and Penguins. Random news stories after Pat McAfee's big night at last Wednesday. Again, thank you to all of you who watched the video I did on that, doing great numbers. Thank you very much. Lots of people were a little bit upset that Pirates legend Andrew McCutchen didn't make an appearance on the show. Pat had Big Ben Roethlisberger representing the Steelers, Paul Skeens representing the Pirates, and the big three of Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang representing the Penguins on stage during his show. My opinion, sure, would have been nice to have seen Kutch out there with those five, but I'm sure Pat had a lot going on after all the show started late with issues. But I'm sure Pat would have loved to have Kutch out there, but again, still was a small stage that they were on there at the end of the ramp. So don't think too much into it, in my opinion, folks. Pat added in a tweet that he had a suite available for Pirates players who wanted to go to his show, and that the next time he hopefully does something like this, he would love to have Kutch there. So don't go too hard on McAfee there. Congratulations are in order to Pittsburgh Penguins defensive prospect Una Väisänen, who over the weekend with the Western Michigan Broncos won the Frozen Four NCAA College Hockey National Championship. Väisänen, a 6th-round pick by the Pens last year, and I'm sure after the performance he had in the Frozen Four, will be getting a training camp invite next season. This guy was only a Steeler for one season, but congratulations to 8-time Pro Bowl corner Patrick Peterson, who retired earlier today as an Arizona Cardinal. You don't see too many DBs nowadays playing 13 years in the NFL, but he did it, so hats off to you, Pat Pete. Great job. And last thing here that I wanted to put in today's video, and apologize in advance. I don't mean to end today's stream on a sad note, but the NFL draft, like I just said, 10 days away, and this is the last thing that I and many others wanted to talk about. But yesterday, news came out that LSU wide receiver and prospect in this year's draft, Kyron Lacey, passed away. I've read all the details about what happened and the events that led up to this unfortunate situation, but I'm not going to discuss it here. So if you really want to learn more about it, you'll have to do your own reading on the matter on your own. I know that going back a couple of months ago, he was thought to be a draft target for the Steelers, but now just days away from possibly getting that phone call that he was going to the NFL. That will never happen. I'll just end this by saying that if you're going through some things, if, times are tough, just know that help is out there and never be afraid to reach out and talk about it because, you're special no matter who you are, and just talking things out really, really helps. So take care of yourself, everyone. Let's take one more stroll here through Twitter just to see if anything else is going on that is massive news before I hop off for the Bucs game. Paul Skeens taking the rubber right now for the Bucs. Hugh Country Roads. And yeah, that appears to be it for all that I see. So I think that's going to be it for the night. Thank you to all of you who joined me here this fine evening. Appreciate you very much. I'm going to go watch the Bucs probably blow a 7-inning, one-hit ball performance from Paul Skeens. Until next time, thank you all for joining me. Like, share, and comment on this stream. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Appreciate you all very much. Like Pat McAfee says, be a friend. Tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. Don't mean to steal that from you, Pat, but have a good night, everybody. Let's go, Bucs. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.